I send this two papers there. Hanumanta Prabhu and Iluda Mataji helped me with the editing. The one was about the forgiveness. There was a little bit more description of that, and then there was another one about grunges and payoffs. Let me describe it last time a little bit. What is the grunge?
Could you please kindly translate what is grungy in German?
Yeah, that is a challenge in any language because the grunge is like a created word for this purpose. Some professor, whatever was his name. It is kind of like addiction, you can say. I translated this in Polish as addiction, actually. Okay, it's something that we do because we used to do. Something we're getting great satisfaction from, and yeah, we get a payoff, so to say. So there is, I explained in this paper, in this little description. Like if you get some big loss or something like that, and then you, like somebody dies from the family, for instance, and then you become depressed and sad, right? Which is natural reaction to that. But then if after 10 years you're still depressed and sad because somebody from your family died 10 years ago, okay, that is most probably the grungy. There's no other reason. And you hold to this feeling of sadness and whatever else because you're getting some payoff, you get some currency, you get some prestige, maybe you get attention, okay, or you may get that people take care of you and help you, okay. So you getting some benefits from that feeling of sadness and depression, so you don't want to give them up, okay? You become attached to them because that's what you're getting is so much valuable to you, okay. So that's like the grunge, and it can be of all kinds. Like somebody's angry guy, right? I'm always angry, yeah. And the payoff is that, yeah, of course, you're always angry that people do stuff for you. They're afraid of you. Nobody wants to discuss with you. They just leave you alone, right? Or you have a feeling of power, having some control, illusion of control, right? Like that. So anybody, I mean, probably most of us have all kinds of grunges, and the payoffs that we're getting for, just following those grunges, using them. Any questions or observations, Venuya?
I have the impression that since I'm here, there are some deeper layers of envy, shame, and lust are coming up. Krishna was so kind to deliver at Aldi a printer, a new printer and a new laptop, and the name of the printer is Envy. I have to learn a lot of humility, I think. Is there a connection between envy and sexual lust? And what does it mean for us devotees? How can we purify this?
Well, actually, this goes direction of today's discussion, so we can just start from that. Yes, there is, we can say, even direct connection, because the lust means there is something that we want. Okay. Usually we connect the lust to sexual desires, but it's not only that. There's like so much more to that. Okay. So lust means, yeah, there is something I want, and I want it for me. Okay? I don't want it for someone else. That is for me. Okay? That is this kind of passion which comes in. Yeah. And this kind of, I mean, the lust, it can be, it manifests itself in different ways. Okay? Sometimes as envy, sometimes as control. Okay, we try to control some other people. Sometimes as anger. Yeah, we just get angry. So where it comes from, that is actually very interesting point here. Okay, because if you are satisfied, self-satisfied, okay, maybe you love yourself and so on, there is no so much question of lust coming so intensely. Yeah? So the reason is that most of us, especially now in Kali Yuga, we are just coming from like screwed up families. Okay, I mean, who from us can say that we had a normal childhood, a normal family? Right? A just loving environment, everybody took care, and everybody was like inspiring you and elevating. This is, probably none of us can say like that. Although I know some people that had really nurturing the childhood and parents and so on, and they turned out really great actually. So so yeah, it starts usually in childhood, where we don't get enough attention, we don't get enough love. We have a feeling often that I'm not needed here, I'm not wanted. Like when the child is sitting there and playing and the mother speaks with her friends, how it became so much more difficult since the child is there and she has so much more to do and is tired and so on, and the child is listening to that and she thinks, okay, I'm disturbing my mother, I should die, I should disappear, and so many sicknesses come from that and so on. So so this is how we develop this kind of missing something. Okay, like I miss something. What we're missing is actually this love that we were not getting, and we cannot develop the self-love. Okay, so we instead we develop actually self-absorption. I am the most important person, I need stuff, I want stuff, like that. I deserve it because I'm so poor. Okay, and as a result we just try to get things, to get stuff, get attention, everything for our own gratification. Yeah? So that's lust. Yeah. And then of course when we get to the teenager and later, our false ego just explodes, right? Before we get into puberty, there is still some very strong connection between our soul and our material body, our subtle body and gross body. And this connection still reminds us, no, I am a soul, I should be compassionate and so on. Even if we grew in some very bad environment, we have still this connection, this compassion there. But when you get to puberty, there's like a cut, so to say. Our false ego becomes just so strong and so strongly manifested in our lives that everything else kind of disappears. Yeah. And yeah, as we remember from our own lifetime, being a teenager is not exactly very renounced position, right? All the teenagers full of, the lust, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that is how this comes. And when we go through life and we're not getting enough satisfaction from, buying stuff, having stuff, being famous, having a girlfriend or a boyfriend, like that, then we start to look at other people, what they have, what I don't have. Okay? Or we see someone who is more just satisfied or happy, and so on. And that's how we develop uh, this feeling of jealousy or envy towards those people. They have more than me. They are more happy than me. They are more satisfied than me. Yeah? And no, because they have more, or they got it, which I don't. There's not enough for me. Always this consciousness of lacking, of lack. Okay, there's not enough. There's not enough money in the world. There's not enough people in the world. And the more this consciousness of lacking something comes up, the more envious we become. So we can trace all that to lust, or then even deeper, we can trace all that to whatever happened in our childhood, what we didn't get. And yeah, we can try to different techniques to get rid of lust and so on. But from my experience, the best way, the quickest and easiest even way is to really go deeply in your heart and start to love yourself. Because if you love yourself, all the other people will be loving to you. They will be different. If you don't love yourself, then you always think nobody loves me. So you behave in such a way that nobody loves you, and you create this mentality around yourself. You create the circumstances that nobody loves you, and you will just get such a feedback. Okay? People will treat you in such a way that you are, the worst garbage or whatever. And you are even, you are so to say enforce it even upon people. If somebody comes to you and is loving and tries to help or something, then very often we see such people, they reject it. Okay, they very suspicious. Yeah? Like, what do you want from me, right? Or there's something cheesy going on, fishy, right, going on here. This guy is just too nice. It cannot be. Yeah. So yeah, the best process to get rid of this lust, this mentality of lack, this mentality that everything should be mine, me and mine, and so on, is to find out the reason why we don't love ourselves. And sometimes it's very simple reason. Like we know that trauma is just something that overwhelms you. Okay? And trauma is not only big thing like an accident or something similar to that, but the trauma can be that somebody told you just one time too much that you are stupid, and it may click in your brain, and now you're just thinking I'm stupid. Okay? The same thing is with this loving ourselves. When we find a way and we find where this comes from, and we have all those memories in ourselves, we can access them. Then we can go back there and try to solve it. There's different ways to do it. Yeah. Some of you experience some of those ways maybe already, right? And like deeply in your heart start to actually appreciate yourself and love yourself. Okay, so the self-love is then different than the self-absorption. Okay? I'm absorbed. I have to get everything. Everybody has to follow me. There's not enough. Self-love means that you also, how to say, love others. Okay? You like kind of spreading, shining this love outside, and you create such an environment around yourself. It's like such a loving environment, and then people just start to appreciate you. They start to love you. You know, they want to be with you, and so on. And in this way, you realize, well, I don't have to fight for anything in this world. Okay, I can be getting stuff because I'm lovable. Okay, I'm a valuable person, and there is enough for everyone in this world. Yeah. More than enough. Krishna doesn't leave anyone hungry if there is not somebody's karma. Yeah. And as the more we develop this consciousness, the less we actually want, because we are not more so disturbed. Like, I will not get enough. I have to fight for my rights. I have to fight for my food. I have to fight for everything. No, and you were just fighting and fighting, fighting. So this mentality of lacking, of lack, of not having enough, that there's not enough, it will be disappearing in us. Okay, and then our lust also will be diminishing, like that. So, and same thing, like very important process here is forgiveness. Therefore, I stressed it last time in our last meeting so much about that, because as long as we don't forgive, like people and ourselves, this energy will be always coming up. Lust, envy, anger, all is connected. All of these feelings are connected. And sometimes they get covered by new circumstances or old circumstances. Like if you are in circumstances that you have to, I don't know, work like 12 hours a day, and then have other duties to that, sometimes we think, okay, I just don't want anything, I just want to sleep or take rest or something like that. But then the circumstances change, okay? You get little time and you get a new flat, like that. And suddenly these other troubles are not there, okay? And then when it really comes, what was deep inside of you, okay? Then really you can see, whoa, there is lust, or there is anger, or there is what else? Greed. I want that. I want this person. I want that thing. So, yeah, as you now in your circumstances, so the old, whatever troubles you had in the old place, they cleared. And these energies that were pushed away because you didn't have time to pay attention to them, they're just appearing. That's coming up. They're showing themselves. Yeah, understand?
Yes, and thank you very much. Lord Nityananda Balaram was so kind to give me the remembrance what the first source was. The first, you said the very first reason why we don't love ourselves. And I was the third child, and my brothers are 12 and 7 years older. And as my mother came with me from the hospital, she said, "Oh God, how shall I write this one?" and the topic is to be welcome. to be welcome. And here here in Neuruppin and in Schwerin was the problem. I wasn't welcome as a devotee. Before was no problem. Since the last 5 years it was a little difficult, but here I feel more welcome. This is the topic in my case. I realized right now during you was talking. To be welcome as I am, to be welcome as a devotee.
Yes. Actually, our consciousness goes back, like all the way back, so many lifetimes and so on. And even, the conscious, we know that from Shastra, that the consciousness of the parents, the influence and the consciousness of the child, right? Whatever parents' consciousness is during conceiving the child, this consciousness the child will have. But what it does also mean that we are full aware during the conception, okay? And there's even therapy that brings us back to the time where you were conceived and you saw how your parents behaved, if it was nice, it was lovable exchange, or it was painful, or somebody didn't want to do something, all the stuff. And the child in this time is already conscious and he knows, oh, I am welcomed here. I actually nice. Huh? But the child, no, nobody wants me here. I'm just getting here by a chance, so to say, because they didn't use the protection, okay, or something like that. So at this time is already you so to say mold your consciousness in this what you will be in this lifetime. Yeah? And there's a therapy that deals with this actually, and couples all this stuff. And then during the pregnancy, the same thing. You hear what your mother says, and then when you're born as a small baby, nobody takes you serious. But the small babies that know and understand everything. Yeah. It is not that the baby is just dumb and just laying and has no idea. So this may influence our whole life and change our whole life. How it happened, what was happening in our childhood.
Yes, thank you very much. I totally agree with you, and especially that it is much more difficult to forgive ourselves than forgive others. For me, it is. I would like to ask. You said when you are self-satisfied, then is the lust not so strong. I had today the experience. I increased my rounds a lot to manage the separation process from my partner and the moving process. And I asked my spiritual master, talked on the Friday Zoom meeting about the number of rounds, and he said it's not so impossible, not so important to increase it such a lot. And I asked him what I should do, because when I chant less, then my consciousness is not so fixed in my mind. And he advised me to do over the day, again and again, small services for Krishna. And today I chanted less rounds to have more time for the works here. And then came these lusts. And is it maybe that I'm not satisfied with less rounds, that I'm only satisfied when I can go to the top? And how to deal with this, because it's not possible for me all the time to chant. I chant 4 to 5 hours every day, and that means there's not so much time for other things left.
Yes, but that is our goal. That's our way and our goal. Chanting holy name. Now, the problem is we think we have other goals, and the chanting should help us with that, to achieve our goals. Okay? So I chant, and for that I get inspired, or I get more inspiration, more satisfaction, right? I will be able to be more happy and so on. So it also can become, well, it's just kind of karma kanda activity. Okay. So we chant, and we expect something to happen. And if it doesn't happen, well, here come again the same thing. Lust, because we want something and doesn't happen. Come anger. But what comes at most is this kind of self-destroying oneself, because I'm useless. I cannot chant. If I cannot chant properly, then I cannot do stuff. I'm just useless. So your self-love actually goes even more down. Okay, you start even more to hate yourself and try to find ways to bring yourself down because you're not worthy. You're useless. Yeah, like that. So if you keep it in mind that we chant actually because Krishna, it makes Krishna happy, right? Then whatever happens afterwards, it just doesn't matter. Okay? And then you're chanting to make Krishna happy. It's not for your advancement. It's not for your pleasure. It's not for your whatever else it may be there. Okay. Then is when this karma kanda mentality can disappear. It can go away. And then again, you need to start to love yourself. And how this can be done? Like every conditioned soul, every one of us, and all other souls, they are eligible. Means they can rise from whatever low position they are in to the highest possible level. Okay, so every one of us, every soul can do it, can rise up. But of course, between this lowest position and the highest, there's a lot of steps. Okay, so as we progress, we just go to the next step, and in this step there are certain rules and regulations that you have to follow. There are certain things you have to do to go to the next step. And then on this step, again, you have certain things to do that you go to the next step. Right? So the problem is that usually, or always, almost always, we start here, and then somehow or other we advance a little to the next step. Right? But we advance here to this next step, and we think, okay, those rules and regulations from this other step help me to get higher here. So I need to hold to these rules and regulations so that I can go even higher. You understand what I mean? Yeah. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says very clearly, no, each step has different rules, different regulations. You need to do different stuff on different levels. If you hold to those rules from the lower step, actually becomes like a chain. You cannot progress to the next level. Right? That we all know very often here in ISKCON temples. You need to follow all this stuff from beginning till the end. From the day you enter the temple to the prema. But it's not true. Every step we do, every progress we make, there are different sets of regulations. Right? It's like someone comes to the temple and he's smoking like 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Okay, so you tell such a person, okay, maybe you just smoke 5 cigarettes a day, like smoke just 5 cigarettes a day, and this process, and the person is progressing. Okay, and the person is progressing even more, so he's ready actually to give up smoking altogether. But he thinks, no, this smoking 5 cigarettes a day brought me here, so no, I should keep smoking. So we may laugh about this example, but we do it all the time. It's such obvious things like smoking, yeah, okay, I understand. But no, we do it all the time. Right? Like living in the temple brought us so far. I need to keep living in the temple. I cannot change it because otherwise I cannot progress. But the time comes that you have to change it. No, I was always following my temple president, and it did me good. So that's what I will do. Okay. But what if you progress more than your temple president? Then he will be pulling you down actually. Okay. And what if Krishna wants from you that you actually take responsibility? You become temple president, or you open your own center, or like that. Okay. So sometimes from fear of making no advancement, we actually make no advancement because we hold on to the lowest energies, lower platforms. Yeah. It brought me safe here, so it means it's safe. I just stay there. Yeah. And that's like more or less every advanced devotee, if you see what they did, everybody had a different sadhana. Because everybody needed something else at a certain point of life. Yeah, I'll speak more about it because it's actually very important subject. And now we have certain prescriptions or prohibitions on each level. And to progress, we have to follow them. Okay, and that is actually what we can call once prescribed duties or rules. Those rules are prescribed to you. Now, sometimes or often, actually, even very often, we have it that now our prescribed duties, and then it's you get up in the morning, go to Mangalarati, chant the rounds, and okay. For someone, this can be prescribed duties, first class, okay. And for someone else, those duties can be very degrading. Someone will not make progress, and as soon as you stop making progress, you start to degrade. Yeah? You start to falling down. Yeah? It's like from Prabhupada, how many times Prabhupada was in Mangalarati? You can ask, right? But of course, he wasn't sleeping and doing whatever at night people do, or going to bars and discos. Okay, but he had his service. He was translating books, right? At this time, writing letters, all kinds of activities he was doing. He was fully engaged in devotional service. So even Bhaktivedanta Thakur writes about that steadiness in your own position, that's actually real piety. Okay? And if you deviate from the steadiness in your own position, that's impiety. But he also writes, if you take the position or rules of someone else, that's the same thing. That's also impiety, because you will be degrading yourself. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita very clearly, even the sage follows his own nature, because our own nature is there to purify us. We get certain karma, we get certain character, you get certain qualities, and all this is meant only for one reason, and the reason is that we make progress. That's all there for making progress for us. Even we don't like the circumstances that we are in, we don't like our karma, we hate our parents, and whatnot. Okay, they were there for a reason. We needed to learn something. We needed to get some experience in our lives. We needed to get some detachment, maybe. So instead of wallowing in self-pity and thinking, okay, nobody likes me, nobody loves me, I'm not needed, I'm not welcome, I'm useless, I'm stupid. We have all kinds of of tapes like this going in our mind. So instead of wallowing in that, we should better find out, okay, what level we are in and what are my prescribed duties in this, on this level, on this step, and how can I make progress to my next step, you see? So this of course is a duty of our spiritual master or shiksha or diksha guru to show us, okay, you did all that, now you are here, now you do next step. For the next step, you need to do those activities. That is the real meaning of surrender. It's like, I'm not attached to those rules. And most important, I'm not afraid that if I don't follow the rules from the previous step, I will not make progress. Just see how many devotees are just so living in fear. They're so afraid if they step out of the line, then I don't know, the sky will fall on their head, or Krishna will throw some Govardhan hill on them. Okay. So we need to understand this process is not a process of fear, it's a process of love. So if I all the time fearful that Krishna will do something to you because you don't follow the same rule like you followed 30 years ago, okay, then you will not make much progress. Actually, you may even degrade yourself terribly like that.
The interview with which one Roti of our group posted today in our group with Ramburu Mataji very fits to this what you said the last minutes.
Yes.
So we are about love and the process of the duties and the process of love.
Yes, Ramburu Mataji, she went through all that. She really worked on herself. She was also alone, but she worked through all that levels on this, misconceptions of bhakti and so on. And now she trying to teach to others. It's really inspiring. I didn't listen to this interview yet. I want to do that. Yeah,
when I understood you right, then it could be that for some time it is more suitable for me to chant less rounds. And the second question is, how can we learn that it is really honest that we chant to make Krishna happy and not to become a satisfied mind or something like this?
Well, that is where you need to work on yourself. Okay, watch your mind, what your desires, watch your wishes. Okay, and don't expect anything from chanting. That's the most important thing. Okay, because otherwise you chant today 32 rounds and you're ecstatic and you think, okay, tomorrow I will chant 32 rounds, I will be again ecstatic. And Krishna says, no. Tomorrow you will suffer, actually, and you will feel miserable and you want to die. Because that's not karma kanda process. In karma kanda, yes, you do something pious, proper, and you get the result. You get paid. But it is only because the demigods are bound by karma kanda. They have to give you results. Okay? So if you give charity to brahmanas, you will get a nice reward. That's established. Okay, but that's not devotional service. Okay? If you take care of cows, you get rewarded. But taking care of cows is not devotional service. Okay? It can be, but it's not automatically. The same with chanting. Okay, we use it often as a karma kanda activity. If I chant my rounds today, it's very good, and I go on the street and they distribute 100 books. Many devotees had this idea, and Krishna showed them, no, not like that. If you want to distribute more books, then you surrender me. Not that you've tried to force me in this way. Krishna, you chanted my routes very nicely. Now you have to give me some results. Okay? You just chant because you're supposed to chant. You promise your guru. It makes Krishna happy. Always remember that you're chanting for pleasure of Krishna, and then you will be good. You'll be okay.
I've heard yesterday from Vishaka Mataji that Prabhupada said when he was questioned about good quality of chanting, Prabhupada said, when there is love.
Yes. we can also go through the different steps. What means chanting in different positions? Okay. So the love, that's the best. You actually feel love for Krishna and then chant with the feeling, that is the best. And anyway, the feeling should always be there. Whatever feeling it is, you feel miserable, then you cry to Krishna that you are in this material world and you're missing him. You feel depressed, also cry. Chanting with feeling, that's the most important thing. Martin, you had a question?
Yes, yes. Partially you already answered, Vipula. I just ask myself if we can also, because you described that on certain levels we have to follow certain prescribed rules, and I just ask myself how to recognize where we are, but you already answered, like you say, from by the help of your guru you should find this out. Because I just ask myself, maybe there are some general rules, you know, maybe to stand up early, something like this, or of course.
Well, general rules are always there. Yeah. Like getting up early in the morning is a very important rule. Yeah. If you don't get up early in the morning, after some time, no, our mind gets just stronger. We're getting stronger and stronger. And even if you do other processes very perfectly, at one point your mind will just take over. It will just take you away from the other services, from attentiveness and so on. Okay, so the mind has to be controlled in certain ways. And at the beginning, we try to defeat our mind. Try to control it. This doesn't work really fully, but at the beginning, and our devotional life is very important. Like getting up in the morning, right? What the mind in the morning wants? He wants to sleep. Okay, stay nice in the bed. Yeah. And then the same in the evening. What the mind wants in the evening? He doesn't want to go sleep. He wants to talk or do something. So that's how we defeat our mind, and then we go just to bed and we try to sleep. It may take some time. So such rules, they exist, and we should also know them. But it's not like everybody has to follow all of them. Some rules for you are more important than others. Okay. So maybe for you, is getting up in the morning more important than I don't know, chanting 32 rounds. Okay. Or for someone else, no, he has to chant 32 rounds because that's the level he or she is on. So there are general rules, but because everybody of us is different, everybody has a specific karma, desires, qualities. Therefore, we need an expert who can show us, show it to us, okay? Who can explain it to us. Like you need now this, and you need now this, okay? And when you do this for 3 months, then you need do something else because you need another thing. Yeah. It's like in former times, therefore the spiritual master had the ashram where every one of his disciples were with him all the time for so many years. So the spiritual master saw, okay, today you need this kind of rule. Today you fast, you don't need today. That was one of the rules. If the spiritual master doesn't call you for eating, you don't eat. So it's also a rule. So, how practical it is nowadays. You call each morning your spiritual master, Guru Maharaj, can I eat today? Yeah, you take breakfast. Very nice. Yeah.
And may I also ask another question, Vikula?
Yeah.
Thank you. I just thought about I mean, we know that Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, everything what you do, just do it for my pleasure. And I just think in the beginning we are maybe not able to do this completely. So I also today listened some lecture from Kadamakananda Swami, and he also speak about karma kanda and say that it's maybe in the beginning it's good when we just engage in some activities which we are already more or less like or something like this, and just do it for Krishna, and later we will just completely, it will be transformed, and later on it just will be like you just want to do this for Krishna only and not because you like it. It will just change, if I understand him right. Maybe you can. And he also gave some nice example, which maybe some of you know, from some Hells Angel rocker on some bicycle, and he meet the devotees in Amsterdam, and the devotees gave him some cheese sabji, and Kadambakananda Swami say from this point on he think that Krishna must be really kind guy because he liked this cheese sabji. And then then it happens that the devotees was out on Harinam, and some man on his car, he tried to move inside the group of devotees, and then suddenly Kadambakananda Swami said that this Hells Angels rocker came on his motorbike and jumped off and jumped on this car from this man. And Kadambakananda Swami said, this is perfect karma kanda for this rocker. I like this example somehow. So that was actually my question. Maybe you can share some of your how to say experience.
Coming back again to the original point about the rules. Ultimately, the only prescription that we have is Krishna Prema. Okay. And the only forbidding thing which we have is envy. These are actually the two rules that are there. Okay. And everything, every other rule, everything what we have in whole Bhagavatam, Puranas, everywhere. Every other rule and every other prescription is just supporting to that. Yeah. So when Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you do everything for my pleasure, and you don't know how to do this. Of course, you're young devotee, and you think, well, what can I do? Still, you just try to read, try to ask devotees, and try to do things in such a way that Krishna likes it. Like at beginning, I was living alone and I had really no idea Yeah. Well, somebody told me, well, you need to offer your food. I was like, wow, okay. You know? I had no idea. So I was just like, okay, well, Krishna, here's food. I was, put on the plate, and I will eat it later. You eat now. There's the food, and I just ate from the own plate. And after some time, somebody told me, no, you have to have some extra plate for Krishna that you offer in that. I was like, oh, okay, good. And I bought some glasses. I was offering this in these glasses. Yeah. And later, someone, oh, you need to have pictures. Whoa, pictures, okay. Some pictures, and and I never got the idea by myself that I should actually separate. I should not wash the Krishna things with my own things together and stuff like. I had no idea like that. But I'm quite sure that Krishna was kind of merciful to me and was accepting it. Because somehow or other I made progress. But I was tried to sincerely, okay, I don't know, but okay, then I pray and I think about Krishna and I ask him, please accept this. What can I do? I don't know. I'm supposed to offer, so I'm offering like that. So sometimes you may not know, or sometimes the circumstances just happen like that you're totally confused. It's like, what happened here? What shall I do now? So again, you pray. It's like, Krishna, I don't know why I'm here, what I'm doing, what I'm doing, how I'm doing, why am I doing that? I just don't know. But then you open your heart to Krishna and say, Krishna, please help me. Okay, that's a really prayer. That's a real prayer then. That you're offering your ignorance, so to say, to Krishna, and you're asking him, please, please somehow help me in the situation. So, many times we just don't know. Even as our guru gives us some instructions sometimes, and you think, how shall I do that? Okay, look at Prabhupada. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave him instruction when Prabhupada was, what was that, like 24 or something, right? Bhaktisiddhanta gave him instruction, you preach in English language. And Prabhupada was like, what? How? Okay. But he took it to his heart. That's what my guru wants me to do. And he started to prepare, and ultimately, 50 years later, he did it. Okay. Right. But the sincerity was there. Of course, you don't know all those rules. Of course, you don't know all the prescriptions that you should follow and so on. But always remember, the ultimate prescription, the rule that we have to follow is prema. An ultimate forbidden thing is envy. And that's it. Yeah. There's a verse from Bhagavatam. It's very long Sanskrit. I just read the translation. It's 11:14:26. When a disease eye is treated with medicinal ointment, it gradually recovers its powers to see. Okay? Similarly, as a conscious living entity cleanses himself of material contamination by hearing and chanting the pious narrations of my glories, this Krishna speaks this verse, he regains his ability to see me, the absolute truth in my subtle spiritual form. Okay. So what Krishna means here, you will be able to see him, to hear him, when you get cured from this material disease. But in our case, the disease or the cure, the ointment on the eye, so to say, is the same as our ultimate goal. It's always Krishna. So we do service, we do chanting, we do kirtan, we do preaching, everything to please Krishna. But when we please him, we see him directly, we still do it. No, we may do it in a different way. We may do it in some better way. Or some worse way, who knows? Okay. Maybe Krishna needs some pastime there that we, screw something. So many demons in his pastime that appear because some of the devotees, some devotees screw up something. Practically all of the demons in Krishna's in Vrindavan, they were devotees in other lifetimes, and they just screw something up. And what happened? They appeared in Vrindavan with Krishna. Sure, he had to kill them, but not the worst way to die, I would say. Now the doctors kill you in hospitals, pumping you with some whatever stuff. So there is no loss or diminution. Krishna says it in Bhagavad Gita. The second chapter, very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. There is no loss on this path. Whatever you do, with your whatever you desire, still you're making progress. You will be rewarded in some way. Ultimately, you will be rewarded with Krishna Prema. That's what comes at the end to every one of us. There's another verse from Padma Purana, very interesting. Remembering Krishna is the eternal duty. Okay? All other prescriptions mentioned in the Shastras have arisen from this main prescription. Forgetting Krishna is never allowed. All other prohibitions mentioned in the Shastra have arisen from this main prohibition. So you have only one prescription. Always remember Krishna, and you have only one prohibition. Never forget him. Two rules. Everything else just comes from this, is supportive. I don't have a number from the Padma Purana. I can give you Sanskrit. Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismartavyo na jatuchit sarve vidi nishetach syur etayor evakin karaha. That's the Padma Purana. So, yeah, we should always remember this part. And sometimes, devotees think, okay, I need to follow all this Hari Bhakti Vilasa, I need to follow all this and that and everything. Okay? But even Sanatana Goswami writes in Hari Bhakti Vilasa that Hari Bhakti Vilasa is meant for householders and rich devotees. Okay. So if you are a householder, there is surely many rules you can follow from Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Or if you are rich, okay, because it's all for your purification. If you become rich, you usually become neglectful, like that. But the devotees who already, renounced, so to say, this world, they don't think I need still this, I need that. I have to still do this thing and another thing, and then I make progress. If you renounce all this feeling, you renounce all these activities, then there is no rules in Hari Bhakti Vilasa for you. Okay? Because you are renounced. And by renunciation, that's how you then progress. You renounce everything in this material world. Means you have to accept something from the spiritual world, because you cannot just give up stuff. It is impossible. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes about very intensely, very intense purport to Upadeshamrita, where he writes that you cannot stop activities of your senses and you cannot give up sense gratification. Anybody who gives up sense gratification dies. Intense, right? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you need to get spiritual sense gratification. Now you can renounce this world, but you need stuff from the other world. You need stuff from the spiritual world. Right? So that as gradually we give up material attachments, gradually we develop spiritual attachments. Okay? The problem is when we think I can just give up stuff, and then you just replace it with some other stuff, material stuff. If you give up, I don't know, eating meat, and you start to eat what? Or sweets, right? Because you need to replace it. Yeah. Or you give up drinking alcohol. Oh, same thing. You start to eat sweets like crazy. You get intoxicated with sugar and honey. It's allowed, but it's good? No, it's not good. You just replace one thing with the other. So you have to renounce this thing. And how you renounce them, how you can be ready to give something up, is you develop the spiritual attachment. Yeah. If you, for instance, notice that you can chant much better when you eat less, or sleep less when you eat less, you naturally start to eat less, start to avoid rich foods and stuff like that. Because you will be thinking, my chanting in the morning is so much more valuable than all my eating. Okay? And then you naturally just give it out. But you will get something higher. You get a higher taste from chanting, from nice chanting and so on. Yeah? Okay. Anything else? Any realizations, questions, comments? Someone in the room? No? Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class. You mentioned at one point, well, when we're happy, then we kind of appreciate what Krishna gives, or when we're depressed, we in more like this separation mood, or in material world, we're in separation mood, feeling to Krishna. So how do we overcome the feeling sometimes when also we have negative feelings, a little bit like lamentation or disappointment, and maybe even not blaming, but like thinking, oh, like you said, when we chant and we expect something to get back. So there is maybe this inner feeling, oh yeah, I did so this and this and this I did, and I don't get still for what I'm aiming for. And there is this kind of a bit grudge, let's say, or a bit lamentation or disappointment and some negative feeling towards then Krishna. And I understand it's of course very bad to feel that, but it does the feels. So can we kind of acknowledge that and say sorry for Krishna, I feel like that, but because it's pushing away doesn't really help. So what do you suggest in such a times to how to deal with that feeling that I acknowledge it's not nice that I do feel like that, but it is there. Does it make sense?
I think so. Okay. Well, when you read in Krishna book, you have actually pretty many times you can read there how people complain to Krishna about something, what he did. Or like they feel treated unfairly, like the gopis there in, the gopis come to him and Krishna says, oh, good that you came. Nicely that you love me so much. Now you can go back home. And the gopis are like, what? Okay. So Krishna is a person, and he of course understands you. So you just present it's like, Krishna, I feel like that. I don't want, and I was not planning to, but look, this and this and this happened. So please make some arrangement. Like there was once in Heidelberg. Of course, everyone knows. So most of you know. Very intense time around year 89 and 2000 in Europe was really intense. And we had really one difficulty after another in our temple. It's like, we tried to repair something, do something nicely, and something worse happened. I was like, I don't know how long it was going, months and months, okay, like that. And finally, I went to Gornita and said, I'm sorry, I cannot do that. We're doing all this stuff for you. You want me to give up? I was really complaining. I was like, it seems you want me to give up. I'm just doing this for you. We all do it just for you. So what now? And then all this stopped. So it seemed maybe Gonita, they were just waiting that I complain. They were really trying to how much he can take, or how much the devotees in the temple can take. I don't know. Whatever, it stopped. So I can say, at least in this case, it worked. A few times later, few other times it didn't work. But at least for myself, after all these years, I can see that Krishna was really like preparing me for some other stuff, okay, that I was supposed to do later. And at one point, I really got this one deep realization. It was like amazing. It was like my life changed in a second. I was like, whatever Krishna does is good for me. And it was it. And I was just, okay, so whatever happens now, I don't care. My whole life changed in 1 second. How much I had to suffer before that, I don't tell you right now. Maybe I write some book about that, or someone else writes a book. Yeah, but I just got it at one point. It was really one disaster after another. Like every day was worse. Every next day was worse. And one day I just sat, I was like thinking, why is this happening? And I just got this like, wow, it must be good for me. And then it was all okay. Stuff was still happening. I was totally peaceful. Because I knew there is some reason, and always the reason became clear after some time. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter.
But it's still unpleasant. Well, I mean, it makes sense what you say, but it's unpleasant to, overcome those things that even though okay, it's for good, of course, we know it in a sense for our own benefit, but then it's unpleasant to, overcome those things. And then this comes this, complaining mood. So, but then how do you then just go with the flow and you accept it eventually? Right? Because it's kind of comfort that
Swami was kind of lamenting or maybe complaining to Prabhupada, okay? And he started, Prabhupada, we try to distribute these books, and we distribute it in a subway. We don't see a sun even. They were like distributing 16-hour day or whatever. And before he could say like 2 or 3 sentences, Prabhupada just cut him, like said, when did I say that devotional life is easy? And Swami said, from this time, he never complained again. Okay. But the thing is, if you understand how much nonsense we did in unlimited number of lifetimes, And you know, and in this lifetime, or maybe 2 lifetimes, we're supposed to clean all of that to go back to Godhead. You know, yeah, you are on the fast track. You know, that means devotees are getting extra difficulties, extra pain, and so on, because we need to clean it very quickly in one lifetime. You know, maybe you have still billions. Well, there's no billions, but millions of desires. Okay, and by pulling you, making you go through all that stuff that you're going through, Krishna purifies it from you, purifies you from that. You know, he gives you a chance to get rid of all this, and then you can, you know, in 50 years when you're dying, or whatever years you're dying, you know, you will be thinking, wow, it's really nice that this all happens to me, because now I can just renounce and go back to Godhead. You know, if I had everything nice in my life, who knows how much attached you would be there. So always look for the long term. Now I don't know. Now I'm lamenting. Now I'm feeling terrible. Now everything is wrong with the world and stuff and hotel. Yeah. But well, I just go through that. I don't know why I have to go through this, but you know, just trust that you will understand in one day. And if not, maybe you don't need to understand it. You will just forget it in 1 year. You know? If you look back at your life and you remember some tragedies in your life when you were 15 or 16, you know, how much importance they have now for you. Okay? I remember when I was like 18, I lost so much money. I just was, you know, I thought I would rather die. But now when I think about it, it's like, and anyway, everything somehow worked out nicely, you know. But at this time, no, I just wanted to die. So you never know. And if you look back at your life, you know, you're still alive and you're still kind of happy and you're still a devotee. And at this time, when all this stuff happened to you, thought, no, that's the end of the world. I cannot do it. Yeah. So the same thing is now. You're thinking, okay, that's just terrible what is happening to me. But in 2 years, you will think, oh, there was nothing. Yeah. I went through that.
Okay, so then to accept, but then eventually before this acceptance, if there is this inside this disappointment, it's okay. I mean, it's not that I accept very voluntarily. I accept, okay, just because I know it's good to accept that inside I do feel this disappointment and this complaining to Krishna, so it will pass, basically. It's not, I don't need to suppress this negative feeling. That it doesn't decrease my devotion too much if I feel this. It just passes.
You know, if you treat Krishna as a person, he will treat you back as a person. He promises it. Okay? He reciprocates. Okay. So if you go behind his back and complain about him, he may also do something behind your back. Okay. But if you go to him and you present, you know, that's how I feel. What is happening here? You know, I thought you protect your devotees. You promised that. And even you made Arjuna promise that. You know, and your devotees never lie. What's wrong with the system here? Then you might get answer. Or something may really change in your life, you know, because you treat Krishna as a person, and he is very personal to every one of us. Yeah. And as we know already from all those lectures and sessions and everything what we had together, you cannot suppress any feelings. They will just come back and kick you right in the whatever it pays. Yeah.
Okay, so it testifies that it's okay to feel, because it doesn't really, I mean, if I talk to Krishna about this, it doesn't make me like terrible devotee and decreases all my devotion right? I mean, it's not that it's only love and gratification and appreciation to Krishna, but as you said, it's with the person, there is always ups and downs in the relationship, right? So it's normal that I don't become like the worst devotee, right? It's
yeah, you still don't know who you are in the spiritual world, you know. Maybe you are a follower of Jatila, and that's your job to criticize Krishna. Okay, you don't know. So when you get a personal with Krishna, you know, then he will reciprocate and he will show you your place. He will show you whatever you need to know and so on. He will do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you just go around, you know, and you're thinking bad things about him, yeah, then he may think bad things about you. Who knows? So better talk to him. It's much nicer. Yeah. Good. Anything else? Anyone?
Ramburu Mataji said today, we are radical personalists.
Radical what?
Personalists.
Personalists. Ah,
Or the personalists too.
yes. Yeah. We are pretty radical. In a Catholic Church, you're not allowed to, you know, talk to God, so to say. You can just pray, and you can put your wishes up there, you know. But it's not like you really can talk to God. You know, He's just too great. Even some priests, they say that God is just so great. If you would answer, then you would explode or whatever. Yeah, it's just God is just too great. Right? So that's not our philosophy. We pray to Prabhupada, we pray to our Guru, we pray to our Acharyas, and we pray directly to Krishna, to God. And He will answer. No? And He's not like, we had this discussion also with one priest, and we asked him, okay, how God does it look like, you know, in your scriptures? And he told us, the God is so great that you can never go far enough to see him. Because he's so great. You're like a bacteria on his skin, I think, or something like that. That's not our philosophy. That's not our philosophy. Yeah. We have personal relationship with God. Like Prabhupada said, we have his phone number. You know? So we just call him. For many religious movement, that's radical. Yes, it's like, you know, it's unbelievable. You know, have personal relationship with God. It's you know, usually God is there and we are here and we fly on whatever in our little angel wings. And what we do, no idea. Also no description. So that's, you know, that's not how the Shastras, the Vedic scriptures are. What they are describing, and what our acharyas are describing. So everything is personal.
Ramakana Maharaj told in one lecture a nice story where the question was, what is the daily work of God? And he said the daily work of God is to cut down those who are proud and to elevate those who are humble. This is the daily work of God.
Yeah, but we have to say that's, you know, that's Vishnu's work. That's not Krishna's work. Or maybe Krishna in Dvaraka, something like that. Yeah, but that's not Vrindavan Krishna. Yeah. He is always thinking how to do great things for his devotees. He doesn't cut anyone there. That's Krishna in Vrindavan. Okay, it's getting late, Lila. So thank you, all of you, for appearing. For nice questions, nice realizations. I hope I could give you some inspiration here. Something to improve your devotional lives. If not, then you could just smash me later. No problem. Okay, thank you, and yeah, we see us sometime again, I hope. Okay. Hare Krishna, Vanchakalpatarvasya, Kripasinghasya, Patitam Pavan, Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Hari Hari.